rationale here for a company that designs chips is what, Mandeep?
Well, so when you think about, ARM, they provide the IP blocks. They don't design or manufacture their chips. And in this case, look, Intel has a lot of IP within the company. It's tied to the x86 architecture. Obviously, ARM has a different architecture. But when you think about, Altera side or any other business that's adjacent, that's where, ARM may be interested in acquiring some of that instruction set or adjacent lines, whether it's FPGA or something along those lines. That will be my guess.
And Mandeep, we reiterate that according to this Bloomberg source, ARM's approach to Intel was rebuffed. But it's the same logic with Qualcomm, right? They've had success on ARM-based processors. Why go to x86? I note that your colleagues had interesting research overnight as well that, let's say Intel gets even deeper into distress and they start looking at options. How's ARM going to finance such a thing?
Well, I mean, look at ARM's valuation. It's trading almost 50% above Intel's market cap. And look, when you do the sum of the parts, obviously Intel has got a lot more businesses that they could divest. But in the case of ARM, their stock is currently at probably the best premium within the semi space. So it could be stock. I would imagine, it will be a buyout of some of the portion of Intel's business. So clearly, we are talking about a much smaller pie within Intel that ARM is interested in. In the case of Qualcomm, I mean, they were interested, at least based on the rumors, in the bulk of Intel's business. So I think it's a different transaction if we are looking at ARM versus Qualcomm here.
And all of this, as we say, thus far has just been people familiar, particularly with the Qualcomm, as you called it, rumor, but we call reporting. I'm interested in, Mandeep, more broadly about how ARM benefits in any scenario here, or not, as the case may be. What if Intel went with a Qualcomm, for example?
Well, in the case of ARM, I mean, they are at a $4 billion run rate. When you look at NVIDIA, over $100 billion in data center revenue built on ARM design. So clearly, ARM has to find a way to expand into adjacent categories without really competing with their customers, which in this case are the likes of NVIDIA and Apple. So that's where I think the IP blocks are probably the right way for them to expand into new categories. And I don't think they're getting into design or chip manufacturing. I mean, that won't be very well received in the market.
Mandeep, Intel, 70% of revenue product, about 30% manufacturing. Away from approaches for takeover, there is a plan that Gelsinger outlined. What does Bloomberg Intelligence make of that plan?
Well, not all pieces of the plan are viable, and that's where, doing foundry manufacturing for chips that are outside of Intel is so hard because they have that, like everyone has that perception that Intel will end up competing with their customers. That's why the likes of, NVIDIA or any server chip maker, it's very hard to convince them to use Intel's fabs. So that's where the foundry business is where all the struggles are. I do think the PC business will come back because x86 still has a moat. And when there is a PC refresh cycle, that's the one part of the business that will recover nicely. So I'm betting on the PC side. We just have to figure out how to catch up on the server side. And obviously on the foundry side, they really need to partner with hyperscalers to improve the margin profile of that business.